I think the reality is to not get cart before the horse, right? We want to have the opportunity to compete. They don't want to be sold. Well, that's not what we're doing here. We're here to provide a service. They can see that we've also already been useful and valuable, and in a giving way, not in a taking way.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We are here with Jed Grunwald. So, could you talk a bit more about how you got these guys? Once they were in the system, how you got these guys to the point where they're with you, right? They're locked in, and even if they're not ready to go now, but they're still locked in with you, right? They like you, and they like your process, and they like the way you explain your process and the way you approach them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the reality is to not get cart before the horse, right? We're advertising the opportunity to value their house, so not treating it like more than that until more than that exists, right? So, it's like, hey, tell me about what you're thinking. And most people are a little reluctant to kind of give you the whole story because they don't want to be sold. Well, that's not what we're doing here. We're here to provide a service and at the same time show them how we function and operate as though we were helping them, with consistent communication and solid information. So if we can go get them that, help them see where they actually stand in the marketplace, as far as their value, then they know what they can do going forward to the next house. So whether that's locally or, I've got one of the folks that we're working with is probably, if they sell, because they're going to move, out of the area. And then the other one sounds like probably in the area, but they just need to know where they're starting from. And they want to do that in a way that isn't committing them to anything. And so if we can give a little bit and give that information, which part of what we do, we're salespeople and that's how we get paid, but we should also be advisors to people. And if there is a opportunity for a transaction, if you have been their advisor and told them the truth along the way, then chances are now they're going to have familiarity with you. They're going to have seen some track record of how communication looks like, and just, having hey, let's get you some information so you guys can make good decisions on what you're looking to do from here, whether that's now or 4 years from now. Now we're here, but now we've established that kind of relationship, and we can drip on them for however long it takes, and ideally they transact, but what if they don't? Maybe their friends and family do, but they can see that we've already been useful and valuable, and in a giving way, not in a taking way. And I think once you establish that process with people, then they can value that and are willing to not only probably work with you or certainly give you the opportunity to interview for the job, which is all we really want. Ultimately we want the job too, but we want to have the opportunity to compete. And in a lot of cases, we probably won't even need to compete because of the trust factor that's been built. But then in addition to that, they're going to be way more likely to refer us to other people around that they know are going to go through the same thing because they just walked through it and it was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And these two leads were, to be honest, different price points, right? One of them was always luxury, and one of them was average or a little bit below average. So how did you, we could say, tailor your approach to these two different appointments, right? I guess the principles stay the same, but how did you handle the different price point?
Well, yeah, you're correct. The principles stay the same no matter the price point, and there's people at every price point, right? So it's more a matter of tailoring a value is a value. This is what your house is worth, and this is what we can likely get for it. If you leave it like this, there's a price. If you make some improvements, there's a different price. And here are your options, and here's what we can help you. We can help you in any of those. So whether that's 400,000 or 700,000 doesn't really matter. It's more about what is important to those homeowners at that point in time, is there a scenario where it makes sense for them to go through that process? I mean, because both of these folks aren't immediately ready, at least based on their plan, until the next thing falls in place. So for the one, it's could we find a place we like at the beach? And so far they haven't, but if they do, they're down there now looking. And if they find it, well, now, okay, the things can click. The other one is a matter of probably a similar thing. Okay, now we know what our house is worth. Now we can actually do some looking and see if what we want exists. And once that falls, then we're good. So it's more, I think, less about the price point and more about telling them the honest truth about value and their options in those value ranges, but then more particularly helping them walk through, is this a good decision for you now or next year, or what does that look like? What are your needs? And it's kind of a needs assessment, right? And because again, we can try to sell them something, but if they're not actually ready, then now we're the pushy salesman versus the astute advisor, right?
Yeah. Well, this is super valuable, especially because again, guys, this is coming from a 20 years of experience. Jed has been doing this for 20 years. So especially on sales, I feel like that sales is the main is the main differentiator. And so it's the main way you're going to get the most out of any lead gen you're going to do. So if you take this home, take notes on this, really, because this is solid sales advice, and that's gonna massively skyrocket the way. It's all about the way you approach these guys. At the end of the day, when you call them, they are skeptical, like they're a bit distant, right? Because they've been approached like from realtors over the past 10 years, and so if you do what Jed is talking about, and you come in with, again, all we preach is all about like lowering their guards down, lowering the resistance. Once you get in and you are in the, you could say, safe zone, now you can talk about selling, because now they trust you. You build that trust, right? So definitely thanks a lot, Jeff, for sharing this, because this is super valuable. One last question, really, for anybody watching this, I guess the main big thing when it comes to these programs is about quality. So when it comes to the leads you talk to, what would you say about their quality, and how did they, how do you find these guys?
Well, you find these guys.
No, I mean,
how do I find them?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, they're much more prepared. I've definitely had other lead sources where I call and they're like, "Why are you calling me?" I was like, "Well,
exactly.
you asked for someone to call you and talk about value." I'm like, "No, we didn't." Like, okay, I don't honestly know what they're getting on the other end. But here, obviously, we're using a combination of human touch and AI, and it's that consistent communication. It already kind of sets the tone, so they're expected.
They're prepared. Yeah,
they are. So they at least are aware, like, okay, great, Jed's going to be calling me, and this is what I asked for was evaluation. And again, it's not more than that at this moment, but that's what they're ready for. So we just go deliver, and show them how we do things. And so far, exactly what you have set out to do and what you've promised is exactly what's happening, and continues to happen. We just got one right before we jumped on this call. So
yeah, that was.
But I'm gonna leave that to you to kind of pre-process and pre-approve them, and that's the difference. It's not just someone clicked on something and now I have to call them. It's they clicked on something, they followed through your process, you've checked them out on different levels depending on their engagement with you, and then you're handing that to me. So it's a much more it's a warm lead versus something that's promised and under delivered. It's delivered as expected, and so far we're doing great.